I know what we normally go through outside there. People have a lot of fear, and this fear makes people to have a lot of anxiety, and this anxiety makes them too difficult for them to adjust to their daily lives. So I want to help us understand how we can be able to manage this anxiety, because I've realized that nowadays people have a lot of fear of the unknown, and this fear of the unknown makes them uncomfortable with the livelihood, uncomfortable with what they are having in their households, uncomfortable with their career they have chosen to do. So I want to give you 2 tips on how we can be able to manage this anxiety, because I've realized that this anxiety comes from a lot of fear that accumulates in our hearts, in our mind. So first of all, I don't know whether you understand what is anxiety. Anxiety is too much fear of the unknown. And in most cases, this anxiety people have, it is something that is out of their control, or something that is in their control. So it's upon us to understand whether we are able to control whatever we are thinking about. So one of the ways that we can be able to manage anxiety, because I can't promise you that we can eradicate this anxiety fully, but we can be able to manage it. So when you're able to manage it, you can be able to just live a normal life. So one thing that I want us to understand on how to manage this is to think of whether it is real or it is an imaginary anxiety. We might be having some situations, and you might find this situation is just something that is an imaginary issue that cannot happen. So we find ourselves taking more time in thinking about it, trying to just ponder we burn a lot of energy, a lot of calories over something that is beyond our reach. So one thing that you need to understand is, first, whether this anxiety, is it real or it's an imaginary situation. You know yourself what you are thinking about. So for you to manage this one, first of all, know whether it is an imaginary situation or it's a real situation. If it's an imaginary situation, just do away with it. If it's a real situation, so therefore you can be able to consult the experts. If it is matters to do with finance, you can be able to maybe consult a financial expert. If it's matters with mental health, you can consult a mental health expert who can be able to help you unravel such issues. So just know whether it is real or unreal first, or it's an imaginary situation. Number 2, ask yourself whether, if I don't act, what is the worst thing that can happen if I don't do whatever that is in my control. If you are thinking of maybe it's a financial constraint, for example, what is the worst thing that can happen to you if you don't look for maybe other sources of finance? If, for example, you have a kid at school, if you don't look for school fees, the kid will be sent away from school. So that's maybe, for example, the worst thing that can happen. Another thing, maybe if you are paying rent, ask yourself, if I don't pay rent, what is the worst thing that can happen? I'm gonna be sent away from my house. So if you think of the things that can happen if you don't act on your anxiety, just have those things down and see what you can do about those things. So if you find the worst thing that can happen if you don't act on that situation at that point, then of course you can be able to sit down and come up with strategies on how you can solve that issue, so that you can manage that anxiety. You can reduce that anxiety before it goes out of hand. So those 2 situations that I've given, I know it can help you manage your anxiety, and I wish you well as you manage your anxiety wherever you are. Maybe you are at home, at work, or maybe you are a student who is having a lot of stress in your studies. You can be able to apply these 2 strategies, among others that I can be able to share when time allows at a later date. But for now, thank you for having this time. Bye bye. See you next time.